Oh, Peter, Peter, Peter. Who is Peter Molyneux, you ask? Well, he is a game developer and the man behind Bullfrog and later Lionhead Studios. He's the main developer behind games such as Dungeon Keeper and more recently the Fable series. But why on earth, I hear you complain, you whiner, is he worthy of his own episode? He is a very famous game developer with some of the most popular and lauded titles in gaming history under his belt. But that's not the important bit. What matters is that he's a spectacle like no other, a sort of Baron Munchausen of gaming hype. Let's start from the beginning. In 2001, a video game called Black and White was released by Lionhead Studios. It was a god game, where the player portrays a god who interacts with villagers in a strategy-type level, but can zoom all the way in to view the villagers in detail. That is 2001 level of detail, i.e. everything looks like colored origami figures. Before the release of the game, Molyneux praised the coming game, saying it would be so full of awesome features that the likes had never been seen. He stated that one would be able to go all the way from an oversight view of the whole map, down to a villager holding an apple and a worm burrowing through the apple. This was fucking ludicrous. Anyone with more than 2 neurons to rub together knew instantly that this was bullshit. The technology of the time was never even close to being able to make something like that, and of course that level of detail wasn't even close to what actually ended up in the game. In 2005, the sequel, Black and White, was released. As before, Molyneux had hyped it to high heavens, and after the release and lukewarm critical reception of the game, he actually took to the media to apologize for how the game didn't live up to the hype. Sorry, I misspoke. I meant to say didn't live up to his hype. Then came word of his next project, a role-playing action game called Fable. Again, he hyped it to Saturn and beyond. This time, everything you did was supposed to impact the story, and the world was supposed to evolve and develop differently based on every single fucking choice you made. As per usual, none of that actually materialized. Mind you, that doesn't mean that Fable was a bad game per se. It's got an aggregate review score on Metacritic of 85 out of 100. That's pretty darn good, and it sold around 2.7 million copies. But because of the hype that spewed from the mouth of the Molyneux, it felt like a disappointment. Guess what he did next? That's right, he went and apologized, saying the game was a disappointment and that the next game, Fable 2, would be the best game ever and have all the awesome features that were cut from Fable. So the game comes out, and none of those things materialized again. And again, the game wasn't bad by any stretch of the imagination. It got an aggregate score of 89 out of 100 and sold a whopping 4.2 million copies. But of course, he yet again apologized and yet again said that the next game in the series, Fable 3, would be the fucking second coming of Christ and rid the world of at least 4 types of cancer. That game was rubbish. Alright, it garnered an aggregate score of 80 and sold 5 million copies in total, but it was a pile of crud. Uninspired gameplay, idiotic story, most features from previous games were removed, and combat mechanics that left one pulling one's hair after every single fucking battle. And another fucking apology. This time, however, with a twist. He actually cried on camera and whined about how he cares oh so fucking much, and that's why he lies about the features of upcoming games. You know what, Peter? I don't fucking buy it anymore. I don't think you care too much, or that you've got so grand visions that they are too much for this world. I think you're simply lying to drum up hype for your games. If you had overhyped and apologized for a game once, or maybe twice at the most, I would have given you the benefit of the doubt. But right now, you're on the same level of believability as an abusive boyfriend who beats you up and breaks down and cries about how they think it's terrible, so you won't leave them. At time of writing, Molyneux refuses to do interviews. Good on him, because if you can't help yourself spewing lies whenever you open your pie hole, your only real recourse is to shut the fuck up. Good night.